First, I mean, it's just a suggestion for discussion. The suggestion is a proposal to discuss Europe really under different lenses and with a different angle. And what I try to do with just reframing from United States of Europe to European Republic is the reframing that the project Europe is not about integrating states. The project is about uniting citizens. And this is the difference. United States of Europe is integrating states. We talked 40 years about integrating states. We talked about integrating a market. Integration is a formal word. It is cold, whereas European Republic is a warm word because res publica alludes to common good. This is from Platon to Aristoteles to Cicero to Kant to Rousseau, basically the word which we use to describe political entities on the European continent since 2000 years. So we have a long tradition. When we were building political entities, we were taking the word republic and not federation of states. So I'm just trying to shift the European project back to the political history of ideas of this continent, which is, if we want to create a political entity, it should be a republic, because normally on this continent, when we create a political entity, we are creating republics and not federation of states. And the other thing is that obviously Jacques Delors, for whom I worked in the past, once said you cannot fall in love with a single market. And I think this holds true, but perhaps you can fall in love with a republic. That's normally what people do if they like the system they are living in. And so creating this paradigm shift is also obviously trying to bring the project back into the lap of the people and to say, look, we care for Europe. It's our republic. We need to think it, to rethink it, to rebuild it, to redesign it. But it's not about states integrating, let alone the fact that we looked at these states for 50 years, and after 50 years they did not integrate. So after 50 years I think, okay, basta, you had 50 years of time, you never ended up in political union, obviously you are not committed any longer, let's take it away and give it into the citizens with a different framing. That's the idea. I choose this really deliberately because first I don't say when it's achieved, which gives me a little bit of time. Second, it doesn't say who is in, because I didn't want to do this, the questions of who is in and when will this be, sort of in a clear-cut project. I remember, and I say this on a blog, but it's sort of the truth, the moment I would sort of design these postcards, I felt like I'm giving the project into the hands of the Weltgeist of Hegel, that at some point something new needs to come, and the postcards leaves it open, and so under construction means I think we are in the middle of the construction. I think we have started the thinking. I think there's a lot of young generation out there, young people who are really basically doing what I call the Europe from bottom up. They're doing, they are literally knitting Europe together. All these youngsters I see and I observe, they are traveling from town to town. They are living cross-national. They are already living in a transnational democracy which the European system cannot even imagine. So I think there is just a very different Europe which is under our eyes forming, growing up from the bottom, which is the civil society, participatory, shared economy Europe, which is a very different sort of design, and this is already there. The only thing is that this new Europe, like I call it, and new Europe is the appeal, which by the way is on the back of the postcards. If you scan in the barcode, you get a call for a new Europe. I think this Europe is just in the process of emerging. It's just that the EU system is not looking. It's not connected. These people have actually exited the EU system. I talk to many youngsters. Nobody wants to become a commissioner in the European Commission. Nobody wants to become a deputy of the European Parliament. So they exited the system to build a new Europe from bottom up. And I think this is the momentum, and that's why we are in the middle of the construction. That's how I see it. Well, I think there are a lot of things that civic education can do. The first is just to create awareness of which momentum in time we are in. As said on many panels this morning, we are having a sort of never-ending crisis, like 7 years crisis, never was a Euro crisis, but crisis. And if crisis in the Greek sort of wording means decision, we need to make a decision, which is we need to come to grips with the system. So creating awareness that perhaps we are living in a completely dysfunctional system which doesn't don't correspond intuitively to the needs for democracy and the quests we have for democracy and participation and so, or republicanism, the needs for common goods, for the public good and so, is create awareness and then instruct people or let them think, not instruct, it's not about instruction, it's more make them think why perhaps this system was dysfunctional and just create that awareness. And I think this already is a huge task to understand the historical momentum everybody is in, which would probably reduce the fear, because then we are just understanding that what we are doing actually is probably ending up with a system, thinking a new one, and to think how we can move ourselves through this process so that we can embed this process into a huge civil society who wants it, who helps redesigning, who helps rethinking, who helps rebuilding. So I think that's part of the activism, which would be more important, I think, than teaching. And civil society, I think, plays the biggest role in this process and will play the biggest role in my opinion, in the years to come.